Hello, friend. Welcome to the Bible Tract Echoes radio broadcast. I'm Mike McCurry, your host. I'm very thankful for the time you've taken out of your day to spend with me right here as part of the listenership of this program. I'm going to ask you, if you would, to grab your Bibles. You'll need them in the book of 2 Samuel, and we'll begin in chapter 18 in just a moment. You see, on the program today, we're going to discuss a topic, a concept, a theme that, to be honest, I believe will apply to every single one of the listeners under the sound of my voice right now. Yes, I am talking to you, and you, and you, and you. If you wonder if I'm talking to you right now, yes, the answer is absolutely, without a doubt. We're going to gather around the Bible and look at, throughout this week, 3 or 4 different Bible characters, real people. These are not allegories. These are not fables. These are not even parables. These are real Bible stories that we're going to share, and we're going to look at the accounts of these 3 or 4 people, and we're going to discuss how, in different ways in their lives, how they wasted the potential that God gave them. Wasted potential. Friend, that's one of the saddest indictments of American Christianity. We have so much potential. Can I expound to you, can I explain to you that God has given to you, each and every one of us, an incredible amount of potential? You may say, people have told me that I'm not worth anything. People have made derogatory comments about me. People have put me down. Can I tell you, friend, there is a God, there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother, and he wants to lift you up. I'm going to ask you, if you would, to tune your heart, your mind, and your ears to what we will discuss today. This message I've preached really just once or twice, maybe 3 times, to teenagers. But I'll be honest with you, in my preparation for this particular week of broadcasts, the Lord brought me to this thought, and I truly believe that it will apply to not only the teenagers and young people that are listening right now, but also the adults. Mom and Dad, I'm talking to you. Grandma, Grandpa, I'm speaking to you as well. Wasted potential is where we will be discussing, is what we will be discussing today. Look, if you would, at 2 Samuel chapter 18. While you finish turning there, let me tell you about a gospel tract. You see, the foundational ministry of this radio program, the program itself, is called Bible Tract Echoes. The foundational ministry is called Bible Tracts Incorporated. And that ministry has been around since 1938. And to the glory of God, in the recent days, we have surpassed over 608 million gospel tracts put out around the world, get this, free of charge. I'm very thankful for the opportunities God has given us here, but the Lord hasn't returned yet. He hasn't split the eastern sky, at least as I can recall, quite yet, and so we still have work to do. But let me explain to you, friend, that we need your help. You see, we have well over 1 million gospel tracts on the shelves of our warehouse in Odell, Illinois. That's where our ministry is located geographically. But we've had the privilege of touching over 170 different countries for the cause and gospel of Jesus Christ, but we haven't done that all ourselves. Even our founder, Dr. Paul Levine, the great spirit, charisma, and gravitas that he brought to this ministry, and that God used him to found this ministry, he didn't put out all those gospel tracts, 600 and something million by himself. No, we need your help. I'm holding in my hand right now a gospel tract called It's Free. Now, funny enough, our gospel tracts are free. We've been doing that for 80 years plus. But this gospel tract, entitled It's Free, explains that salvation itself is free. And it does so in a very simple way. It's actually one of probably the most simple gospel tracts that we currently produce. It has Bible verses and just a few comments, but the majority of this gospel tract, colorfully laid out, it's a majority Bible verses. I'm going to encourage you, if this one has piqued your interest, maybe you don't know Christ as your Savior. Maybe you need a gospel tract today to explain the way. Friend, let me encourage you to go to BibleTractsInc.org. That's BibleTractsInc.org. You can order some of this gospel tract today, again, for free. Donations are appreciated, but they are most certainly not required. We don't treat you any differently if you give money to our ministry or if you don't. And so let me just encourage you to go to BibleTractsInc.org and order some of this gospel tract titled, It's Free, today. We're in the book of 2 Samuel, and we're in chapter 18. We will need to hasten if we are going to get through the entirety of this concept and this thought throughout this week. Maybe it might have to push back into next week, but we shall see. 2 Samuel 18:33. Are you there? Here we begin. And the king was much moved, and he went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, I would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. This may seem like something of a non sequitur, but allow me, for illustration's sake, tell you a little anecdote for just a moment here. Not too long ago, my children and I were taken out to eat by a pastor. Many of you know that I have the privilege of serving as the director of this ministry, host of this radio program, and also as an evangelist and itinerant preacher. I travel here, there, and everywhere, preaching the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we were at a restaurant with a pastor, and he had taken our family out to eat. Very kind of them, and the fellowship time was sweet. And as we were walking out, my children espied one of those little dispensers, those little things colorfully, not quite lit up, but colorfully presented. They have all sorts of trinkets and toys and little plastic pieces inside them. You know what I'm talking about? Normally they take a quarter, maybe 2 quarters, maybe even a whole dollar, but you put it in there, put those coins in there, and you twist the handle on the front, and out pops a few trinkets. Well, this particular dispenser had bouncy balls, those little rubber balls that rebound in an incredible way. And if you throw them at the ground, they bounce incredibly. It's amazing to see. But my girls saw those little bouncy balls, and they, of course, were taken with them. And as many children are, they decided that there's nothing else in the world that I need more than these particular bouncy balls. And we talked about it, and this is something my children and I are working on not too long ago. Well, I should say often we have discussions about how when we go shopping or we go to stores, we don't have to buy something every time. But this particular time, they expressed an interest, and I told them, I don't think we're going to get those today. And before the words were out of my mouth, the pastor, very kindly, and I'll be honest, my girls weren't being whiny about it. They weren't being upset about the fact that I was probably going to tell them no, but the pastor saw that they wanted them, and out of the kindness of his heart, he pulled a couple of quarters out of his pocket, and he bought those little bouncy balls. As you can imagine, before we could even make it out of the restaurant, those bouncy balls were bouncing all over the place. That brings to mind, as we dive into this topic, into this theme, this thought of wasted potential, those bouncy balls, scientifically speaking, when held up in the air because of gravity, when released from my little girl's fingers, they have what is called, even scientifically termed, potential energy. But imagine if my 2 little rambunctious redheads would have decided to grasp those little bouncy balls tight in their hand and never release them, never even throw them, never drop them, never allow them to fulfill their potential of bouncing. You say, oh, that's a silly illustration, Brother Mike, but think about it for just a moment. And think about yourself in the grand scheme of eternity, that you, my friend, you are very similar to that little colorfully lit up, colorfully designed bouncy ball. Friend, you have potential unbelievable. You have potential unquantifiable. You have potential that if you understood it, it would scare you to death. Often, as I mentioned, I bring this thought to teenagers. But may I speak to you adults as well? I don't care if you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. No matter what station of life you are in, God has given you potential. Do this for me. I want you to take your wrist and put 2 fingers right there where your hand meets your arm on your wrist and feel for just a moment. Do you feel a pulse? If you do, friend, then you have potential. I'm going to ask you, if you would, to think about what could cause you to waste your potential. We have a very short amount of time left in the broadcast today. I've, of course, given majority illustration and introduction today. But here's the practical thought I'm going to leave you with. We just read a verse about David, Absalom's father, absolutely distraught, grieving over the fact that he had just found out that his son had been killed, had died. I want you to think about what destroyed Absalom's potential. I want you to think about what could potentially cause, no pun intended, could cause you to lose, to waste your potential. Tomorrow on the broadcast, we're going to dive deep into the account of Absalom, and Lord willing, we're going to share some thoughts that just might save you from wasting your God-given potential. As we close the program out today, I'm going to encourage you in one last area. October 1st, that's a Saturday, we will be hosting at our brand new building in Odell, Illinois. Bible Tracts Incorporated invites you. I personally invite you. My wife, my children, we invite you to come enjoy our grand opening. We were just talking and planning in a staff meeting at BTI for this eventuality, for this event, and we're looking forward to, as of right now, don't tell anyone, but I think we're talking about some smoked chicken and some stuff off the grill, and let's see, some sweet corn is also a potentiality. It's going to be just a little bit after sweet corn is normally in season, so we're going to have to make sure we stock up on some to make sure we have. I love sweet corn. I don't know about you. I love sweet corn. Regardless, we want to see you there. Saturday, October 1st from 1 to 5 p.m. We would love for you to join us. Come one, come all. Free fun, free food, free fellowship, and a lot of friendship. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the broadcast today. I'm going to encourage you to join us all this week as we discuss this important concept of wasted potential. Thank you so very much for listening, for joining us. And if you're watching by way of video on YouTube or Facebook, thank you as well. Have a great day for His glory. God bless.